So welcome to the Azure DP 200 important exam questions part 3. This is a part of the video series where we are covering the Azure DP 200 questions which are important for the certification exam. Now these questions are very similar or close to the real exam questions, and don't be surprised if you get similar or same questions in the exam. It is very important to focus on the concepts that I'm covering in these videos. These will help you clear these certification exams confidently. Let's jump into the question 16. Uh, for previous questions from question 1 to 15, you may refer parts 1 and 2 of this video series. So you may pause this video here if you need some more time to read this question. So you have a field called customer ID and you want to do data masking. So the way it has to be done is the first two prefix characters must be exposed and the last four prefix characters must be exposed. So the solution given in this question is that you use a credit card function mask. So will this meet the goal? Let's quickly look into what are the different masking functions available. So if you see credit card function mask, like the question says, it just shows the last four digits of your credit card number. Rest all the data is masked. But what does the question say? It says the first two characters and the last four characters must be exposed. So this will not suffice the purpose. Hence the answer is no. We will lock this answer. Let's look at question number 17. So this is the same question, but a different solution has been provided. So here the ask is to use email function mask. So if you see the email function mask here, this is the way it is masked. So the first two characters and the last four characters are not masked in this case. Our answer again would be no, because it does not suffice the goal. Let's move to question number 18. So we get the same question, but this time the solution is different. They are trying to use a random number function mask. So in this case, you use this for numeric or for numbers. If you want to mask numbers, you don't use it for characters. This question is referring to a varchar. If you see this, it's a varchar, and this solution will not meet the goal. The answer is no for this as well. So in such scenarios, it is useful to use custom text. You know this option, please read through this. This will help you mask the first, the last characters, and you can define the width. For example, if you want first two or last four, etc. Let's switch to question number 19. Now this question, if you need some time, you can pause this video here. So this question is talking about a dimension table in a data warehouse that will be less than 1 GB. So what is required is you need the fastest query time and you need to minimize the data movements. So these are the four options. Now let's try to understand the concepts here. We have a fact table and a dimension table. For the fact table, hash distribution is useful. Now for dimension tables, there are two approaches. You can use the round robin or the replicated ones. So what happens is it helps you improve the loading speed if you use round robins. So we just covered the concept in short. Now it is important to understand the concept of distributed table. So in case of distributed table, you actually see one table, but one table is actually stored in different. They have 60 distributions, up to 60 distributions, and these are in different nodes. And these distributions can be hash distributed, round robin, or replicated. So hash distributed, it is useful if you have a large fact table and you are trying to query the large fact table, the hash distributed is useful there. But in our case, we are talking about a very small dimension table up to 1 GB. The right answer here is replicated, because earlier we had round robin for smaller tables, but now we have an option for replicated that helps you minimize the data movement, and it provides fastest query time for such small tables. So we'll lock our answer here. So let's move to question number 20. Please pause this video here if you need some more time to read this question. So in this case, you have one writable region and you have three regions which will be replicated. You have monotonic reads and writes within a session. You need to provide fastest throughput with lowest latency. So which consistency level you have to use? In this case, since we are talking just monotonic reads and writes within a session, so it has to be confined to a session, and this is the easiest option. Here is option D. This question is very simple because the answer is in the question itself. It already tells you that you want this guaranteed monotonic reads and writes within a session. So we lock this answer, option D. Let's see question number 21. Please pause your video here if you need some more time to read. Now I'll try to explain this question in terms of a diagram. So basically you have data residing in Paracore files which are in data lake Gen 2, and you want to move that to Synapse or your SQL data warehouse. So in a nutshell, this is the question. Now the question gives you a solution here. The solution has 4 steps. We just have to verify this is right or wrong. I have marked this answer as no in this case. The reason for that is, let's examine the solution here. The first one says use Azure Data Factory to convert Paracore files to CSV files. Now this is not a necessary step. So when you are using Polybase, which is a part of Azure SQL Data Warehouse or Synapse Analytics, the Polybase is capable enough to read these Paracore files. Now these are the file formats that are supported by Polybase, and you can see Paracore is part of that. Other than that, we can see delimited text, ORC, JSON, etc. So if you examine the first one, you don't need a data factory because Polybase is already a part of Azure SQL Data Warehouse or Synapse, and Polybase should be used for this purpose. Data factory should not be used for this purpose. So that's where I find this option 1 is wrong. And the other thing is you need not convert Paracore files to CSV files. Now the second anomaly I find is with option 4. You know what they're trying to do is they're doing an insert into this. Usually we do a CTAS here, okay, create table as, but in this case what they have done is in point 3 they are telling that external table should be created using the external data source, and then they are directly firing an insert. So in this case, a CTAS is very useful along with Polybase. So this solution doesn't meet the requirements. So we will lock this answer as no and move forward. Now let's see question number 22. Now you can pause the video here if you need some more time to read the question. It's the same question but a different solution this time. Now let's scan through the solution here. It says, the first point says we need to create an external data source pointing to the Azure storage account, uh, and create an external file format and external table, etc. But it doesn't mention about using Polybase, and that's why this answer doesn't look appropriate, because without Polybase you cannot, you know, directly stage the move. So this is what you are required to do: move a Parquet file from data lake Gen 2 to Synapse. The SQL data warehouse nowadays is called Synapse. And the right process to do it is plug Polybase to the Parquet files, and then do a CTAS. CTAS is create table as select from something. Hence, in this case, we will lock this answer as no, because it will not suffice the need. Now let's see question number 23. Same question, but a different solution this time. So if we decode this, the anomaly I find here is we are trying to create a workload group and associate with the pool name. This is a wrong statement. And post that, you are trying to just insert it, but insert where? First is that first step would be, at least you would need a table, and then only you can fire inserts. So this is where you should have plugged CTAS, and then Polybase is not mentioned here. So the answer in this case would also be no. We lock this answer. The solution would be somewhere this way: you plug Polybase to the Parquet files, and then use CTAS, and then load the data in Synapse. So these are the supported file formats for Polybase. So before we move forward, I want to highlight what are the correct steps here. You can extract the source data into text files. The second step is you land the data into Azure Blob Storage or data lake in this case. Prepare the data for loading, load the data in SQL pool staging tables using Polybase, transform the data, insert the data. So in here, there would be a CTAS command being fired. This process is explaining more about the ELT, extract, load, and transform process. But if we just stick ourselves to populating that table, then you have to do it through CTAS. Let's delve into question number 25. Please choose to pause the video here if you need some more time to read the question. So basically what you have to do is you want to take Twitter feeds and load them into Azure, and this will be a real-time integration because Twitter the feeds keeps coming in, and then you have to load it into Azure. This is, in short, in a nutshell, what the question is asking for. And they want us to choose 3 technologies. So whenever we are talking about real-time integration, event grid is out of question. So let's first look at the comparison between the event grid hub and bus service. It's important to clear the concepts. So this is a comparison sheet between event hubs, grids, and service bus. So primarily with respect to telemetry and distributed data streaming, similar to social media analytics and etc. We should use event hubs, or for a big data pipeline, you can use event hubs for event streaming as well. So in this case, what our question is asking for this movement, event hub and stream analytics can be one set of technology. So this is what is method 1, where from Twitter we have event hubs here. It keeps getting the feeds in real time, and then we plug stream analytics on top of it so that it can do some analysis. So stream analytics will help us visualize and visualize the Twitter data by Azure. So we get our 2 answers: event hub instance, and then option B, where we use stream analytics that queries Twitter data from event hubs. Now this can also be done in another way using logic app. So this is method 2 using logic apps. The logic apps will be sitting in front of Twitter, and then it will take the data, and this is the entire workflow. So it will take the data, perform sentiment detection on it, and then it will connect the sentiment output to your functions, okay, which will then send email notifications, and then you can test the overall workflow. This is a second way of doing it. So we get all three answers, B, D and F. We can log these answers. These are our final answers. Now let's look at the next question, question number 26. So you may pause the video here if you want some more time to read this question. This is the last one for this video. So you have SQL Server on premises and you have to move it to Azure or SQL database on cloud. Let's scan through the options. The copy data tool, the AZ copy, is used just to perform a one-time copy between on-premises and cloud. But here we are not talking about a one-time copy, but we are talking about data integration solution. You see this data integration solution, and the transformation must happen incrementally. So in this case, A would not work. We can strike off A. B says to use PowerShell. Okay, first let's look at option D. Use .NET Data Factory with a blob storage link service. So in this case, if you have to use a link service as a source, it cannot be blob storage, because we are doing a move from SQL Server data from SQL Server on-premises to Azure. So we do not have scope to include blob as your source. Hence option D is wrong. In this case, option B is correct because of two reasons. First, option C looked correct, but option C has a problem. It is using blob storage linked as a source, which is wrong. It has to be SQL Server linked service as a source, because if you see here, this is your source, SQL Server. Okay. And the question is talking about which tool should you use to configure a pipeline. It is pretty sure that Data Factory has to be used. Now, how will you configure the pipeline? There are two ways of doing it. Either you do it through a Data Factory UI, or you do it through a PowerShell. So if you do it through a PowerShell, you have to use SQL Server linked as a source, or even if you do it via the Data Factory UI, you have to use SQL Server linked service as a source. Since option C is using blob storage linked service as a source, so C is wrong. We'll lock option B as our final answer. So we come towards the end of this video, part 3. I would request you to please subscribe my channel. It keeps me motivated to put on some more videos of similar nature. Please stay tuned for more content around DP200. Please like my videos and drop in your comments in case you have any feedback.